really like a retrospect of all the stuff I'm gonna talk about. It is last week. Yeah. This is a comprehensive final. Life is comprehensive.
Toast to myself, I settled. Sober's now my medicine. Yeah, so say my favorite whiskey for the silver screen. The bride will tell you everything she knows. It's over now. Toast to myself, all with the ball. Toast to my health, I settled. Sober's now my better side. Yeah, so say my favorite whiskey for the silver screen. Cause they could take a picture of anything these days. Anything these days.
Insulin, it is also a substrate. Next one, EPO. It was the actual addition. The carbohydrate was actually on the molecule itself. Okay, so
I'd just like to thank everyone for coming. You're all great.
So as you go through this and take a look at it, so you should.
Alright, so that was a song off our new EP, which just released. It's on Spotify. Go take a listen to it.
In context.
And yeah, we got a really old song for you actually. This one's called Family Tree.
Do we need anything metabolism? No, right? It wasn't alive. Then we went to enzymes, right? So this is where we did a lot of the stuff with enzymes. What about enzymes? Kinetics. Did you derive saturation kinetics?
before it gets me out of breath. Yeah, you guys remember when Ludacris came? We're gonna do that now.
So, what was your grade here?
You may have heard us do this before.
What did you get? What do I get? No, here's what you get.
Wanna lick you from your head to your toes, and I wanna move from the bed down to the floor, and I wanna you make it so good, I don't wanna leave, but I gotta know what's your fantasy. I wanna lick you from your head to your toes, and I wanna move from the bed down to the floor, and I wanna you make it so good, I don't wanna leave, but I gotta know what's your fantasy. I wanna get you in the Georgia Dome on the video now with the Dirty Birds kicking the tree, and if you like it in the club, we can do it in the DJ booth or in the back of the VIP. Quick, pretend we strawberries on top, and you don't stop. Keep the door locked, don't knock. When the boat walk, we go by, so they gotta wait till the show stops. How about the people back there? Pick up your thighs and call me the Pac-Man. Table top and give me the light man. Jump to the box and point from the Batman. That man, they ludicrous. In the public bathroom, or in the back of the classroom. However you want it, no one never gonna have that answer. See, I'm captain, not grasp. Get a tight grip, then I grasp. Well, the more you catch them, then I snatch them. And if it ain't good, then I trash them. And I set them free. Tell me what they can see, like up on the roof. Tell your boyfriend don't be mad at me. I'm so sorry, Mom. You make it so good, I don't wanna leave, but I gotta know what's your fantasy. So now, alright, here's what's gonna happen. We got a call and response, so I want the call and a response. To your toes, and I wanna move from the bed down to the floor, and I wanna you make it so good, I don't wanna leave, but I gotta know what's your fantasy.
What was the next real important concept?
Hey-o. So this past week,
Anyone?
we've been writing a song that we're gonna play right now.
It's not a concept,
We finished it
that's a
today.
tool, right? That's a wrench.
So here we go.
You use it right, you use it wrong. Okay? It was the circumstance when this was no longer valid. Under what circumstances does your kinetics no longer determine how much money you're making? Sabina knows it, okay? Yeah. Mass transfer limitations, right? So we went from up here where we had the the process flow diagram, where we were going through here and had standard kinetic limited process, to the situation where we had the immobilized enzyme reactor. In that immobilized enzyme reactor, what was determining the rate of reaction was no longer this mass transfer, but instead kinetics. It was the actual mass transfer to the catalyst pellets that had the enzyme. That's where we had that. There was a boundary layer. The reality is that this is the most important part of kinetics. You take a whole class in kinetics here. Study all the time your fundamental kinetics. Any reaction worth of shit is always mass transfer limited. The reason is reactions which, by the way,
It's been a
you
blast.
together, right?
We have one more for you. This
Kinetic
one's called
parameters for a numerical
Goliath.
integration as well. But when you do the actual fitting to an equation, analysis of variance will tell you whether or not the fit is good enough or not. It'll tell you, for instance, if I have such inhibition kinetics, this is V and this is S, comes up, goes like this, right, and then turns back over again. If there's too much substrate, shuts down the reaction. I can tell you whether that's statistically significant. That's the kind of thing that you can do with statistics and so forth.
being you, Penn State.
All about protein. Because insulin
God
is a
bless
very
America.
protein product of that. Other things then were underneath this case study? By the way, where do we can start to, we'll go back to the
ChE
tools thing. We missed one for the, what one did we miss obviously from the hydrogen K metabolic pathways, right? The ability to go to there and find, the steps of that and easily find the enzyme that converts from A to B. So that was underneath K. Under this one here, what was the next kind of analogy to that as far as a database online for that?
Brenda.
GenBank. Okay. We also did Brenda as well for the other one. Okay.
I knew that was coming.
So here we had GenBank. It turns out we didn't spend too much time here, but we did learn how to find the gene that makes the product, right? So in there we found the genes that made insulin. Okay. And then the other thing that we used then was Brenda. Brenda gave us what? Okay, so this is really more back to the high fructose corn syrup, right? Not that it's irrelevant here, but certainly that was what Brenda gave us in that one. What else about this did we go over in this particular case study? What? CN3D. So CN3D allowed us to find physical dimensions, hydrophobic groups, charge groups, all that kind of stuff. I didn't have time to go into it, but you could look at that, for instance, and you could physically look at the proteins, the different proteins, and decide which one, for instance, would bind better to an ion exchange column. How? Anyone want to take a, how you know that?
You would look at, well, what kind of ion, right? You need to see where the charge is localized.
Let's say they have the same isoelectric point, meaning therefore that
you need to see which is more exposed to the surface.
That's which is close to the surface and close together. If you were to have the charge groups then clustered close together, as opposed to like this and this, obviously this one will be able to actually interact much easier than that would. And that's a big ass step, right? I mean, if I asked you, I said, here's two proteins, tell me which one is going to go onto that, attached to that. That's definitely in the upper 10th percentile, where I'm just playing with your head to find out which one of you could, like, go get a PhD, MD from Harvard. Okay, so, if that's not on, okay, so, what else was really critical in the insulin case study? Blasting things. Okay, so the blasting and so forth was all in GenBank. So you should be able to take something, find another one, and so forth. However, how do you know that's not going to be the case? Because we don't have computers for the final. Okay, so we don't have a computer-based room. Does that mean that I cannot test your ability to know how to do a blast? No, I can figure out how to do just about anything that's necessary. So you can play the game, but I will play the game right back at you. And you're like, you could never figure out how to do that. And then, son of a bitch, you did. Okay? So, more importantly, still, under this case study, there's really important, there's two major things that are left under it. Just having a gene is not enough, right? And so there was the whole idea of genetic engineering. Not a whole lot. I mean, you guys have had this, I think, in 251, at least a little bit, if not in 11th grade in high school. Maybe? No? Plasmids, yeah, you guys ever hear of plasmids before? That kind of stuff, maybe? Okay. The concept of taking a gene and then putting it in, how do I know whether my bacteria gets my gene of interest? YFG is your favorite gene. Okay? And I put it onto a plasmid, and I put that inside the cell. How do I know the one that gets the thing? It doesn't die because you put on there a selectable marker like a resistance, kanamycin resistance, antibiotic. That resistance will actually, if I put antibiotic in the media, it won't be able to kill the bacteria. So I know that that plasmid is now inside. I mean, this is very, very rudimentary stuff, but I feel like everyone should understand what it takes to do genetic engineering to get a gene into that. So now there is one more big thing from the case study here. We're leaving the realm of biology now and trying to go to Anyone? What? Okay, reactor design was down here where we started. This is where we first did, but I actually deferred most of the discussion of reactor design to the EPO case study. The reason is that we could be comparing one versus another rather than just in a vacuum. And so I kind of left that out. Instead, there was another major topic that was still covered underneath this case study. It looked suspiciously like something we already growth kinetics, right? And I told you, that you would look at growth kinetics and you would screw up because you would be thinking enzyme kinetics. And I told you all that that was going to happen, and I gave it to you, and 80% of you did not let me down. You in fact screwed up that one, even though I did. So you will probably see that again. Make sure when you look at the actual equations that you're working with, whether you're looking at growth-based kinetics or whether enzyme kinetics, they are very fundamentally different. Okay? The Km values for something like growth, anyone know the relative difference between growth versus, for instance, an enzyme that would catalyze sugar? Order of magnitude.
1,000.
What's that?
1,000.
At least 1,000. Almost 4 orders of magnitude. If you're going to take a look at a Km for growth, remember you have big growth, you have big magnitude. S over K, S plus S. Oops, sorry about that. This is mu. Okay? So you now got this value that I'm talking about here. If I was growing them on sugar, that would be about a couple grams per liter. And so you usually grow things about 5-10 grams per liter. This number here would be on the order of that. If you had an actual enzyme, that would probably be like 10 to the minus 4th, 10 to the minus 5th molar. Okay, very, very. So enzymes have an extremely high affinity for actually carrying out catalytic reactions, where in contrast, growth is not anywhere near that much. So that pretty much finishes out then the insulin case study, right? So we had the insulin case study, and then we had EPO. So what does EPO actually do?
It makes you win bike races.
That's correct. EPO makes you win bike races. How does it do that? Way in the back there, bio guy. What?
I don't know.
You're the bio guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah? So what does EPO do to allow you to win bike races? You do not know.
No.
You do, and that's kind of sad. Okay. Okay, next. Yeah.
It lets you hold more oxygen.
How?
By altering your blood cells.
Okay, so by altering what aspect of your blood? Red blood cells. So when you put EPO into a human, okay, and you dope, that's what doping was, what you were doing was you were increasing the amount of red blood cells that you had. Okay? That's why it was kind of hard to tell. Because when you exercise a lot, you have a higher red blood cell count as well. Okay? Anyone know why they were able to actually go back and take urine samples from 20 years ago and find out who was doping? There's one base pair of one amino acid. So there was actually an extra amino acid which changed the isoelectric point. So when you ran that on a gel, you could actually see then that there was not the humanized version of it. It was something other than that. So under EPO then, so other major things that we covered here. What's that? Dimensional analysis. Okay, so we're going to go down to reactors. We'll start down here. We just went over this, so everyone should get this one. There's actually 3 major ways that you use it. The 2 that I covered in this class for using dimensionless groups. So here's the Reynolds number. Pratnall number. Name other famous dead guys. What? Stokes. Stokes doesn't get a number, I don't think. The fact of the matter is, by the way, dimensionless group 1 divided by dimensionless group 2 times dimensionless group 3. What are the dimensions of this group? You. What? No dimensions. That is correct. You would not believe how many times I've asked this question on an exam, and I made it really. And people sit there and they're working it on forever and ever, and then they like, I can't quite get it. I don't remember the definition of viscosity, and they write those little stupid questions in the margin. What's the units of viscosity? I'm like, okay. Yeah, dimensionless. So dimensionless groups. So the thing is, so you can take 4 dimensionless groups, multiply them times that, and then call it the. We'll call it let's call it the Curtis number. It doesn't matter, right? You can make as many dimensionless groups as you want. And so they do come up with them later. The main ones we've dealt with though are mass transfer, okay, a little bit of heat transfer. And Reynolds number, because Reynolds number is always important because it determines the flow characteristics. Okay? How do we use them? Equations.
Relations? What relations? What do you get the relations? I mean, you do the experiments on and then you do power laws.
Power law stuff. Okay, so here's the X equals A, Y, and C. Okay, so what? I don't like the word relations. Okay. What word? I do not want to teach you guys crap anymore. You guys like write long dissertations. There will probably not be a single thing where you can answer more than 5 words. I don't want to read more than 5 words. Okay, they better be important words. What word would be the answer for this one? Not relations.
Relations.
Not relations.
Linear fit.
Fit.
Thank you. Correlation.
Relation is smaller than that.
Relation plus 10. Relation plus 10. Then it won't matter. Okay? So that would be the use of correlations. What happens? You take a ton of data, and then you do what with it? You fit it. How do you fit it? Solver, basically brute force, okay? And what are you doing when you're using solver? Because solver doesn't magically find the parameters for you. Minimize some square error. Minimizing the error, that's an 8 or a 7. Minimizing the sum square error, that is the answer, right? You square it, why? Negative and positive. You gotta square it in order to make it add up. Otherwise the negatives and positives, like shitty one way, shitty the other way, they cancel. We don't want error to ever cancel. Okay? We want error to add up, so we gotta square it. That's why we do some error effect. Okay, so this is the correlation thing. And then the other one is scaling up. Okay, and how do you write that equation? Yeah, I know. Yeah. N little equals N big. Right? So you simply set those relations each other. These are the classic ones you've stumbled over your entire educational career. Because when you have ratios, most of the crap goes away. Again, it's another classic one where I give a problem and now people are asking me for the viscosity of water, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you don't need it. It cancels out, okay? And so when you write a dimensionless group like this, you'll have the same, you know, like this one for Reynolds number. Reynolds number. What is the Reynolds number? And so then these are subscript. This is for the little one, and then this is for the row. If they have the same fluid in there, they have the same fluid properties. And so they would cancel out. That's the viscosity. And so you can go through this type of a scale up. Now, what was the criterion for scale up of insulin? Primary, if I have a 1,000 liter reactor and I have a 40,000 liter reactor, what will be the primary criteria? Nope. Definitely not. If I take a very small reactor and I put the thing in there and I'm going like this, imagine this thing if I now scale it up to 1,000 times that. It's going to be whipping around like crazy, right? So RPM is not a basis for scale up of insulin.
Power number?
Power number is like 4, okay, maybe 5, depends on my mood, okay? And so it's kind of sort of related. You're in the right field.
It's got to be a
Wrong game.
dimensionless number then?
What?
It's got to be a dimensionless number then? Or dimensionless?
It's not. It turns out it's not dimensionless. I specifically told you that in this particular case you didn't use Reynolds number.
Before we start, I gotta ask a couple of questions. Are we allowed to curse? Can I say shit, fuck, dick, all that shit?
No, do not say that shit.
Ultimately, that's all I needed to know. Give me. How the fuck you feeling?
What is the criteria, guys?
Oh, come on now, do me a favor. Put a smile on the front of your ugly fucking face.
Criterion for insulin.
We're called Atmosphere. We're from a city called Minneapolis.
No! That would be EPO. Okay, EPO is typically
but he's still on floor.
the impeller, right? We don't need to break them up. What was the criteria for insulin?
Get up!
Seems like you got a lot of complaints.
Diameter.
Nowadays things
What
ain't
does
the
that even
same.
mean?
Used to place his faith in the basement. Toast to the sky and the kids that he came with. Cause they all on the same shit. Based on down placement, uptown, stay strong. Don't ever do a dance with the devil now. That smile, it's a sign that you're selling out. Judgment, gossip, ethics, let's exploit all this excess. And we can feel how he feel. Hey, how the fuck y'all feel, huh?
Biogas. How would you calculate power?
So afraid of yours that was
What did you answer the last
we
time?
came up short,
Power
but
now.
he didn't have more credibility. If he wasn't just another drunk bill junkie,
Shut up.
it's obvious that he's still hungry for a little bit of Penn State pussy.
Per unit volume.
Go ahead, getting mad at God, point your fingers at your dad and his Santa Claus. We from Minnesota, y'all, we wear camouflage. Wouldn't look so cool with your
In a
cameras
final
off.
exam. Yeah, make up 50%.
Take whatever comes. They only trust them. They all puppets. Love and stuff. Do me a favor, put a piece up. Hold it up.
Right? I can make the diameter, I can change it, I can change it. Without one
Things great, how you used to be great, man. Can't make it how you choose to relate, man. Gotta know that you have the potential. Oh, I understand why you wanted to let go. Go. A lot of pressure in the middle of my shoulders, and we ain't getting nothing but all of them. Ain't nothing changed from the day we run from, but nobody knows it better than you, scum. One for the bar tab, two for the shine. Let's go to your car and do another line. Barely trust them. Man, you know the fucking words to this shit. What's wrong with you? One for the bass, give me two for the drums. Last call, I'm gonna take whatever comes. Barely trust them. They all puppets. Love is nothing. Sing it louder for me. Come on, man. One for the bar tab, two for the shine. Start your car and do another line. Barely trust them. They all puppets. Love is nothing. It goes one for the bass, give me two for the drums. Last call, I'm gonna take whatever comes. Barely trust them. They all puppets. Do me a favor, do me everybody all together. Just clap your hands to the beatbox. Clap your hands, don't be scared. Come on. Barely trust them. They all puppets. Love is nothing. Party people, just clap your hands to the.
That was the
Clap your hands to the.
You don't get any alcohol.
That's really
And so
good.
you
You're
have to
good
get
at
rid
this shit.
of your oxygen. That's the main thing. As far as carrying out a major design like this,
Hey,
there's not very many.
these guys seem
constraints at all.
friendly too. I want to be your new shitty friend. Is that cool? Look, no. I'm not trying to replace your old shitty friends. I just want to be one of your new shitty friends. Make some noise for your brand new shitty friends.
Comparable is only because you
Do me a favor, put that scissors back up in the sky.
I'll give you an idea. Anyone remember the amount of power in a standard fermentation horsepower per 1,000 grams? Why?
I want to hear your beautiful voice one more time, Penn State. Make some noise for your new shitty friends. You know you're fucked up, right? Bye bye, wish you luck with life. But I'll be damned. I let you manage to bless that blade and keep taking advantage. Look, man, you shook my hand, but that was back then. We're not good, fam. I'm the fool, cause I started to be cool with them, but I got schooled at the art of opportunities. I am the only is true.
literally you plug in all the numbers. So when I say the power per volume is equal to the
This
power
one's
per
for the
volume,
old friends.
Okay, each of these is different because this is volume tank 1 and this is volume tank 2. This is the power
You know
level
this
here,
one?
and this is the power level there.
I remember when you said that in
Yeah.
it wasn't
The
exactly.
caffeine, the nicotine, the milligrams of talk. My habitat, it needs to be clean. It's my car, the fast talk they used to abuse to feed the brain. The cat box, it needs to be changed. It's the pain, it's women, it's the fight for power, it's government. It's the way they're giving knowledge slow with all control and subtle hints. It's rubbing it, reaching it, it's a plain cream. It's Canadian sightseeing and high beams up in my dreams. Monsters that I punch, the marijuana, embarrassment, displacement. It's where I wander, it's my genre. Insanity for the radio, hate shows, cheap liquor and punch. Can't say hands up, come on. Angels, demons, gods, the white devils, the monitors, the sound man, the mic levels. It's the gas fumes, it's the fast food, it's the whole damn scene, the underground and mainstream. It's bloods and crips, 5s and 6, sick of kids, Christian, conservative terrorists, and porno flicks. The East Coast, the West Coast, it's public school and asbestos, it's ventilated and it's techno. Sleep, life, death, speed, coke, meth, hay fever, pain relievers, oral sex, and smokers, present stretches. For as far as the eye can see, reality, fuck it, it's everything but me. On and on and on and on. 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 On and on and on and on.
Run with the OV.
On and on and
Start
on
with the
and on.
end with an OV.
On and on
Good
and
to go.
on
Two
and
big damn
on.
words in the world. Let's start.
On and on.
And they're all Russian. And so you're in pretty good shape. So Kalmamarov any length is that length when you go from flow to thermal energy transition. That is also.
Is anybody familiar with this one?
Because remember, you're trying to not destroy cells.
Okay, I need your help.
And so
I need you to do me a favor. If you know this
that
song,
physical length is actually the scale at which
I need
you
you.
tear up cells.
Let me hear you say, hell yes, I'm having a great day. I'm having a beautiful day. I'm happy to be here. I'm
Why
happy
would
to
you
be
scale
alive.
Okay, scale down. That's a great question.
Let me hear you say, hell yeah, I'm having a great day. I'm having a beautiful day. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive.
Yeah, but yes.
Let me hear you say, God loves ugly.
That's not about making it
Louder. God loves ugly. God loves ugly. God loves ugly. I wear my stars like the wings on a film. I live life like the captain of a sinking ship. The one thing that I can tear it down. I'm a stepping race. Y'all better stay here with me. Paying dues for a decade plus. For that, I was just another face on the bus. Tapping my feet to the beat on the radio. Dreaming about the mic and the money and the lady. So, mama, I promise I'm gonna be large. Someday I'll stop trying to borrow your car. With a gold bar. With charisma and skills. And they put my face on $1 million bill. Atmosphere. It's just a change like a word. Discretion is the name of my syringe feathered word. Anything you can do, motherfuck whatever's earned. I think they got that sickness that ain't better getting cured. Caught up in the mix of a bottle full of fix. I hobble down the street till I reach Knob Creek. It ain't that I don't like you, I just don't wanna speak.
Engineers do this shit because
I'm trying to find a balance through mathematics. Divide by whatever you got it and subtract. Pushing on the hammer to trigger the brake. Put your hands up for me. And let me hear you say, God loves ugly. Louder, God loves ugly. Come on. God loves ugly.
you can find me.